They laughed the first time she walked onto the range, not quietly or out of politeness, but with the full-bodied roar of men who thought they'd seen everything. Because no one expected a woman, and certainly not one with a pink rifle covered in floral decals, to walk into the most elite long-range shooting challenge in the Corps. Not when every other competitor was a battle-tested sniper, recon vet, or weapons instructor with confirmed kills and tattoos that told more stories than their mouths ever could. Yet there she was, Sergeant Alina Torres, standing at the edge of Station Zulu with a rifle that looked like a child's toy, and a silence around her so calm it felt like it had been honed, not born. And while most of the men kept their chuckles to whispers, Lieutenant Jasper, a loudmouth with for deployments and a silver badge, he polished more than he used, couldn't help himself, barking, "What's that?" a Barbie blaster, as he pointed to her weapon, causing half the platoon to burst into another wave of laughter, while the other half pulled out their phones to record what they assumed would be a train wreck or a meme. But Torres didn't flinch, didn't smile, didn't scowl. She just set her case down, unzipped it slowly like she was unwrapping something sacred, and pulled out a custom-built, magenta-tinted long-range rifle with rose engravings along the scope, bolt, and barrel, a suppressor threaded with delicate vine etchings, and a grip modified with pressure sensors. None of it military issue, all of it handcrafted, hyper-calibrated, and personal. And when Gunnery Esquite Mendez, the senior NCO overseeing the exercise, stepped forward to ask if she was sure she was at the right range, she looked him in the eye and said, "I built it myself. She's not pretty. She's precise," and then laid the weapon gently on the concrete bench without waiting for permission. Already entering wind values into a ballistic calculator, she'd written the code for during a hospital recovery stint that lasted 17 months, after her convoy hit a triple-stacked IED in Kandahar, something none of the men knew, and even if they had, they wouldn't have believed, not from a woman, and certainly not from a woman holding a hot pink gun. But the truth was, Torres hadn't come to impress them, or to silence them, or to prove anything to anyone. She had come because this range, this challenge, this ridiculous 6-0-meter shot across burning desert and shifting mirage was her final promise to her sister Rosa, who had died of leukemia in a hospital bed while Alina was still overseas, the same sister who had painted flowers on everything, who said snipers were artists with triggers instead of brushes, who used to wave her markers at Alina's R-15s and say, "You'd shoot better if you loved the gun like you love me." And when she died, Alina didn't cry, didn't scream. She just went home, opened her workshop, and spent 6 months building the rifle Rosa would have designed if she were alive. Every rose an apology for not making it home in time. Every pink streak a rebellion against the grayscale death that cancer left behind. And she hadn't shot it in public until now, because this wasn't just a weapon. It was a tribute, a prayer, a bullet made of grief and precision. And when the others saw the rifle, all they saw was a joke. And when they saw her clean, composed, quiet, they mistook her silence for weakness. But Gunnery Esquite Mendez gave her one station out of pity or curiosity, or both. And the other competitors, including Jasper, took turns behind their custom 50s and modified bolt actions, none of them even grazing the plate at 6.0 meters, which was positioned behind heat shimmer, crosswinds, and drone-simulated foliage on the most unstable target stand the Corps had ever used. And when it was finally her turn, the sun had dipped just low enough to turn the desert gold, and Torres laid prone like it was instinct, adjusting for Coriolis drift, mirage, humidity, elevation drop, and even ground temperature, her mind calculating the physics faster than any scope could translate. Because she didn't just know how to shoot, she knew how to read the air like it was music. And when she fired, the gun didn't bark or crack, it exhaled a soft, terrifying whisper of mechanical grace. And for a full 12 seconds no one said a word until the drone feed exploded with impact center, mass, and the steel plate behind 6 kilometers of chaos rang like a bell in a cathedral. And suddenly, the laughter stopped like it had been shot to, replaced by silence so total it felt like judgment. And the men looked at each other, at her, at the rifle, and then back at her again, as if trying to piece together what had just happened. But it didn't matter, because she just stood up, ejected the round, scribbled in her notebook, and began cleaning her barrel while the others stared. And when Jasper finally approached and tried to joke again, tried to say beginner's luck, she looked at him not with malice or smugness, but with pity and said, "You still don't get it. I didn't come to win. I came to remember," and handed him the casing, which had the name Rosa etched into its brass, and for the first time his smirk faltered. And that night, word spread like wildfire across every base, every thread, every forum about the woman with the pink rifle who hit the impossible shot, about the silence that followed, and about the legend that grew around her. But the story didn't end there, because the next morning, General Hawkins himself arrived unannounced, flanked by an entourage and reporters demanding she prove it again, this time with live witnesses, live drones, and harder wind readings. And Torres just nodded once, stepped back up, and this time, before firing, pulled a silver necklace from her collar, kissed it once, and fired again, same breath, same whisper, and the feed cut out for a second before returning with a shot of the plate. Spinning like a coin, the center punched clean through, and General Hawkins, who hadn't blinked in 40 years, muttered, "I'll be damned," and removed his own marksman pin, placing it silently in her palm, and walked off. And still she said nothing, because Torres wasn't interested in applause. She was already writing down wind variables for her next test. And when the Marines gathered around her, it wasn't with mockery anymore, it was reverence. And when one young recruit asked her why she chose pink, she smiled for the first time and said, "Because real killers don't need to hide behind black," and walked away into the heat shimmer like she belonged to another myth. And in the years that followed, no one ever beat that shot, not at 6,000 meters, not at 6,001 meters. And the pink rifle was placed in a glass case at the Marine Corps Museum with a single plaque that read, "She shot for her sister," and veterans still tell the story today, not because she was a woman, or because the rifle was pink, or because the shot was long, but because she came into a world of noise and proved, with one breath, that silence when it carries purpose is the loudest sound of all.